when their guy plays some games.
Alright, hi everybody, Weather Guy here, and we are back with some more of the great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I hope you're doing great. I am feeling wonderful actually, not too bad, doing good. I had some pizza rolls a bit ago. They have these Stranger Things Hellfire Club spicy pizza rolls that I got at grocery store. And I gotta tell you, those things are good. They're not too spicy, they're pretty dang delicious. So last time we left off, we had done seemingly everything there is to do. So we're just going to walk through, see if any new options present themselves, see if there's anything to examine that we missed. And we should be getting towards the end of the investigation phase, I imagine, which is great. You know? It's pretty good. Nothing new here. Alright, let's go back. Nothing to examine here. Let's check out the prosecutor's office one more time. Make sure there's nothing else to talk to him about. No. What are we missing? We're missing something somewhere, right? Gotta be. I'm also still curious about who this is. This seems important. He was a little short with us when we asked about that. And it takes up a large space in his office, you know? Oh, and also, who his apprentice is over here. No idea who that is. But obviously, it'll be revealed to us in good time, hopefully. Back in here, is there anything new to talk to the Chief Justice? He's not even here. Great, he left. That's right. And there wasn't anything of note to examine, I don't think. Might be another case of where we had to present something, but we only have a couple of options, you know? So, I don't know. Let's go to Sholmes' suite. I'm pretty sure I looked through all this last time too, before realizing I could present to Strongheart about the newspaper clipping. Oh, maybe I should present that clipping to Van Zeeks as well, right? Sorry, sometimes I have big ol' brain farts. Anything to examine here? In our office. I also watched Survivor tonight, the latest episode of the latest season. I gotta tell you, very good one. Made me cry again. I'm a very emotional guy, and it was a big episode dealing with autism, which is quite near and dear to my heart, personally. So nothing here. Okay, so what we're going to do is go back. Prosecutor's office, we're going to try to present the newspaper, see if that works. Yeah, definitely watch Survivor. Amazing Race is great as well. Anything with this? Lord Van Zeeks, about the article in this paper. Yes. It seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea I'd been photographed. It was careless of me. It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though. That's an incredible, candid photograph for someone to be able to take, though. Just with someone on the street. That's an amazing photograph. It looks like it's just straight up posed for, you know? It's impressive. Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them. There's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. It's of course them. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it? As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about him. Yeah, I want to know. Who is it? He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say he's my apprentice, I suppose. Yeah, this guy's our Palpatine, isn't he? And his apprentices are going to be our Vader in a later game, right? Even though I don't think there's any more in this series after this game, right? There's no more Ryu stories. Ah, like you're at Hurley then, Runo. I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with a great detective. Come on, just reveal him. He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack. Looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. On Lord Strongheart's orders, nobody knows the man's face, or indeed this guy is 1,000,000% Kazuma. He's 1,000,000% Kazuma. Why else would they have a mystery like this where someone's identity is hidden, right? It has to be somebody that you already know for the reveal to make any sense, right? Otherwise, it's weird when you have a mask come off and it's just some guy. You don't put a mask on a character unless it's a character you had already seen previously, because the mask coming off is a big reveal, you know? So, it's definitely Kazuma, right? It's gotta be. Why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual? How Kazuma would have survived, I have no clue. But that's my theory, just based on the title of this case as well, this episode, of the return of the great departed soul. And if there's anyone in this series so far who has exemplified great, who has been put up on that sort of pedestal of greatness, it's Van Zieks, who's alive and well, and it is Kazuma. And that's about it. That's the long and short of it, you know? He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be a good reason for his actions. I hope you're right. There's another theory I have about who this could be, but I think it's less likely. It could be, I forget his name, but the Japanese inspector, detective guy who was always undercover. But that seems like a longer shot. Ah, the task is complete? Good. In that case, you can collate all the briefs. About the same height as Kazuma, I think. Nice to meet you? Very intimidating either way, though, huh? Back to work again. That was really strange, though. I never met the man before, I didn't even know he existed, and yet, somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. That's exactly the sort of crap I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And if it's not our first encounter, who else has a build like that, you know, that we've encountered? It's very little. You know? Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody from outside this office. Lord Strongheart has strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my princess anyway? Oh no, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to. The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. Come on. It couldn't be. Yeah. God, clocked it a mile away. Yes, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nipponese man, is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with the stoop and the mustache and the jitters. Talking, of course, about Soseki. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean? I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo. He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion there, don't you? Interesting. I'm curious why Van Zieks was curious about him. Why was that brought up? Huh. There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you to spend it investigating the case. Yes, thank you for the advice. For the conversation. I can't believe he's asking after Soseki. After a Nipponese. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried. Yeah. I never imagined that Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn up for the books. Mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Harebrain. Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Van Zieks, I think. There we go. That's our pointer to where to go next. Back to the prison, ask the professor about Van Zieks. We will do that. I understand Lord Van Zeeks is a friend of yours from your university days?
Yes, that's right. He was studying though as I was studying science.
God, I hate this. I don't know why I committed to that. What was he like back then?
A good question. Assuming gentlemanly and all around nice fellow, really.
Sorry, I think you misheard me. Talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor Barack Van Zeeks. What was he like when he was at university? Talk about a leading question, Bruno.
As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is the little darling of the Van Zeeks family with all its great aristocratic origins.
I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood. I mean, clearly there was something epic going on with his family with that large portrait in the office, you know? That looks incredibly expensive. Oh, darling.
It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper of the Bailey, no less.
Yes, that's right.
I did hear, though, that there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation.
That's right. We don't know what it is, but it's his villain origin story, probably, and it's probably what makes him dislike Nipponese people, right? Because, I don't know, that's just the vibe that I'm getting, because it's very pointed racism that is weird, right? Like, he really seems to bring it up often. Really? What sort of event?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at the time, I was in Germany already.
Oh, yes, of course. He's heard all about the Reaper. I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zeeks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. Yeah, good point. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying. You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work, is that correct?
As correct as 2 squared is 4, I swear. Yes, it's true that the man perished in a machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this, but still, I will never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life, not unless centennials. I'm a man of science, that's all I know. You have to believe me, please.
Great, I am so convinced. Look at those innocent eyes.
You believe me? Do you believe in my hypothesis? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, yeah, all my life.
Oh, poor guy. I'm afraid I don't know much about science or your theories, but I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law, that's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Great. I love that pose that he does, where it's just very solid and straight up and great posture, but eyes slightly narrowed to where you can see behind his glasses. It's a very great look there.
When I went to live in Germany after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage. None of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything.
Thank you for that, Professor.
And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court.
Great. Alright, Runa. It's time. Time to visit the Great Exhibition. Sorry? Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it? Yeah, we had to finish up our investigation at the exhibition. Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate at last. Like we haven't been investigating this whole time. Love to see it, though. Ow. Oh, this is beautiful, vibrant scene. I like this. Great colors. Great exhibition grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. Showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I've felt myself swooning 3 times. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too. Careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. Wow, that looks sick. What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. Sounds like an argument. Who's arguing? Oh my baby. It's lovely Gina. What a beast. Big fan. Although she looks taller than I remember. Maybe it's not Gina, but it sure seems like it. Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you, I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh yeah? Go on then, Inspector, give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it. Wait, I know those voices. Got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners. Just try it, I dare ya. If you want that bag of chips ran down your throat. Yo-hoo, Grexy, what are you doing up there? We gotta go up there now. Oh, they're coming down, okay. It's you, here, you're here. Here you are, here. Your ladyship. How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? Great joke. I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable. I'll go have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Till recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. For that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. There are limits, surely. There should be. Watch it, Sunshine. Sorry? What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? Measly $5, is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't ya? Can't stand to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Naruto. What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is. She's better dressed than before. You can have it back, but I have to charge you for all the bother, $3. This is Gina Lestrade. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. Lestrade. I've noted her name before. I didn't bring it up, but I recognize it, the Lestrade. Because Lestrade is frequently in Sherlock Holmes stories, he's like the Scotland Yard inspector, right? Or a detective of Scotland Yard or whatever. So it makes sense that she might be assuming a similar role with that last name. Maybe not, but it's definitely homage at least, right? This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket or diver born and bred in the East End of London. A case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago. This is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, Otto? Diver, pickpocket, what's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips ran down your throat and all, do ya? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Otto. Half a year's gone a long time, people can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. There it is. There it is. She's gonna be the Lestrade detective that we all know and love. So you have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Is it closed? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright? Right, sir? She still has that big rebellious streak in her, you know? This raises a lot of questions. Interesting. Oh! I have another theory. Since we're bringing up Lestrade, I have another theory about who the masked apprentice could be. It doesn't really fit directly well with the main Sherlock Holmes novels and stuff, I don't think, but another character that could be revealed that would be a big surprise and twist would be a Moriarty, right? You can't really have a great Sherlock Holmes story without a Moriarty somewhere in there, right? So that's another possibility, I suppose, but again, that feels unlikely just because of the recognition that Ryu seemed to have. Let's examine stuff first before we talk to her. Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. I already had to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. Thanks to that accident, the whole tower's shut. Suddenly, it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Terrible joke, Rio. I didn't like that one. Didn't do it for me. Apparently, everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. There's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. Yeah, I'm not a big lying guy. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Oh, I didn't want to do that yet. Alright. Okay. I guess. Experimentation stage. Okay. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up. Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. That might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Bruno. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Yeah, for sure. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate. Yep, thank you. Let's look around. There's Gregson again. Oh, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. Seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really, he just looks confused to me. Yeah, very true. You know, I was thinking about something also, sort of unrelated to this, but remember last case how I really fudged up when it came to identifying Green as the true culprit? I think that was hard karma for the first case when I was so cocky when I immediately figured out that it was the photographer for that case. So I'm gonna try to be more humble in the future so I don't get egg on my face quite as hard, I think. Let's look at the experiment first. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. Someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air. Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. Something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Bruno. I'm just a child. How should I know? Child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here... Stop! Don't touch that. Sorry, that was terrible for me. That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over here now, Grexy. Please, your ladyship, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. So sorry, you can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Glug, 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 glug. How's the tea? Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. Adorable. Gregson is really a pretty adorable guy, isn't he? He's one of my favorites, for sure. We're representing Professor Harebrained in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted special dispensation for scientific equipment act to blame. It's driving me potty. Trying to see if that stands for anything, but I guess not. Like as an acronym, but it doesn't really spell anything. Oh yes, that special dispensation. The professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Surely that's alright, isn't it, Rexy? Yeah, he's gonna give in. Of course, your ladyship, anything you say, your ladyship, but please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno? She really knows how to get what she wants. Adorable. Alright, let's look around some more. Now we can just look at it. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Hairbrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise. So please spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? Yes, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, Sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly, the annoying, obstructive flaming rules. Oh, look at the base of the machine there. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. It's a screwdriver, I think. Oh, isn't it lovely when the handle's in the shape of a capital letter A? It is? Oh yes, you're right. That's odd. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Don't touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, I said. Yes, I understand. Sorry. I only touched it a teeny weeny bit. Grexy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver. Really very, very curious. It's gonna give in. Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Bruno found it first. I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly. Well, let's remember that. There's a screwdriver with an A on it. Which is crazy that if you're going to... Presumably this is part of the crime, right? It's crazy that if you're going to do a crime, that you leave something there that has your initial on it. That's insanity. It's gone off with it. That was very mean, I'm afraid. Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now. Poor Grexy. Aw. Sad day. What's this over here? Nothing? Okay. This stuff down here? Nothing? Okay. This stuff over here. It's like a palace. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time. Oh, in your country, Bruno? I do wish I could go and see it. I'd present a particularly steely samurai with a present of one of Hurley's stories I'd written especially. See if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Bertutsu master ninjas. You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you think. Oh, well, that's dull. Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a Chon Mage top knot I could introduce you to. Yeah. What was that guy's name? Ouchie? Yeah, Ouchie. What a nerd. You think I could have my picture taken with him, do you? Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago, yes. This is hilarious. This is hilarious because Ryu doesn't know that Ouchie cut the rest of the hair off after losing in the trial to Susato. That's hilarious. I love that. What is that gigantic thing over there? Looks like an enormous water wheel. Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see. Why? Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery. Wait, it's turning, but it looks completely still. Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour. Oh yeah, it is. Now that I'm looking, it is actually turning. If you're a man enough to go in one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think? Feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Bruno. Yeah, Ferris wheels are pretty nice. I enjoy them. I really like the one in Vegas. That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing towards the Crystal Tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going. I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Bruno. It was set up to beam people to the Crystal Tower where they'd be reconstructed in their original form. I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course. I suppose that's true, yes. But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? Alright. Hot air balloon? So those are people carrying balloons dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly. But I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating, shimmery handballs. I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Bruno, please. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it, but without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared. Oh well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode. That doesn't make me feel any better at all hearing it from Sholmes, right? As calm and crazy, I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little, as you look up at the machine that exploded. Alright, seemingly nothing else to look at here. Yeah, I think we're done. So how do we get back to where we frickin' were, dude? Oh, we have to talk to Gregson still. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body, and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt. Especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. Government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than not spot of public safety infringements. They can be the first to develop some new technology and make Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yes, I suppose that's true, in a way. So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment. What sort of rights? They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into a practical idea and even going into production. This is actually a thing still today, I believe, to a certain degree. Like, you can go online, and I looked this up during hurricanes last year, 2024, because there was a lot of nutty conspiracy theorists that were talking about how the hurricanes that hit like the southeast, especially the Carolinas, were man-made and intensified by man, you know, that sort of thing. And they would link silly patents that they believe proved it, right? And you can make patents about seemingly anything, right? As long as it's an idea that you think theoretically could work. But the thing about these theoretical ideas is often it theoretically makes sense, but you don't have the capacity to actually perform it, because to create large weather systems and stuff like that requires an enormous, an insanely large, unbelievable amount of power and resources, you know? And it would be something that would be very noticeable when it occurred, right? Anyway, with that being said, there's also patents for things like time machines, right? Where theoretically they think you can make time machines work, you know? And that just goes to show you can make a patent about everything, right? And that's how ideas are protected, you know? That's all. That was kind of a weird tangent to go on, I'm sorry. That's one of those things that's always sort of irked me about how big people buy into certain dumb conspiracies. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch the crime scene. Because the new Highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. Oh, I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. They need to get Iris on that team. Forensic investigation team. I know a fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. Just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it. Poor Grexy. He's very head up, isn't he? Certainly is. Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the senior? This is obviously going to be a very important plot point for whatever reason. Right? Because they're bringing it up a lot. So I'm very curious about how this ties into the story here. Exactly, besides being a restraint on our investigation. Are you having me at it, Sunshine? It's a special dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That's such a mouthful. Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently. The real twinkle in his eye, as I remember. I'm sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did, past especially for the great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas for inventions to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the independence confidentiality. What does that really mean? Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun. It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, no. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers, bogus contraptions. But they're all bogus. How can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. Scientists get funding. Actually, I think Hairbrain brought this up last time as well. Like, he had the funding from Adson, I think that was his name, the victim. And then Hairbrain was hoping that after this demonstration, he would receive additional funding from the government. Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these chambers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. Who has to keep them all safe, huh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science, hang it! Brutal. Oh, maybe I can see your point. Alright, Professor Hairbrain, let's hear about this now. Apparently Professor Hairbrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research. That's right, came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education, it turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zeeks. What's that? That's news to me. But if Van Zeeks mans the prosecution, then it's accused the professor's fate is sealed, because the Reaper will get him one way or another. Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zeeks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long's that business gonna keep up? I wonder. The victim of the case, the investor Mr. Assman, that's what it was. I forgot because it sounds like Assman, which is one of my favorite jokes from Seinfeld. He was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Barrett Van Zeeks is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. We experienced it firsthand with McGilded. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zeeks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court. Though the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zeeks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. If that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if nobody kills them. I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. It's just fate. Professor Harebrained mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Ziest was a totally different person. Easygoing and kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was? He does know. No clue. He immediately knows, obviously. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go out and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, huh? It's crazy that we get this much flack still when we're an amazing lawyer, actually. You know what I mean? We always win. Always winning. Can we not go to where we were before? Can we not go back down where Gina was? Let's try that. Let's try. We're gonna do this. Hey, handsome. We can't talk to him anymore. Sad day. Is there anything new in here? Seemingly not. It's interesting that he's way over there now. Oh, and he's gone too. Alright, now let's try moving back and see if we're back at the base. Yes, there we go. Alright, so we know not to examine over here because it leads us up. Anything else? Can we look up? Let's look here at the scaffolding. That's where the Cove ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they called it. Dead, of course. Yet they're calling the experiment a success? What's the wooden scaffold there for? Coppers or lads set up that after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Dunno, really. Didn't you help to erect the scaffold then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibit and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Perhaps. Certainly, perhaps. Certainly. Perhaps. Alright, let's go back down here. Now I think we finished talking with Gina. Oh no, there's this over here. What's this? Ah, it looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hid? Looks like it's part of a crossbow, doesn't it? What is it, some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe it could have fallen from the platform above in that blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. Mysterious contraption has been entered in the court record. Alright, let's take a peek at it while we have it. Is that an initial here? Or is that just... No, it's just imagery. It's just like a wavy imagery. Nothing seemingly to investigate on at this point. Definitely looks like it shoots a crossbow bolt or something similar, right? Like you crank it up with this, you put whatever it is inside this slit here, and then you crank it back with this, and then bada bing, bada boom, it goes. That's what I think. Alright, let's see if we can talk to Gina now. It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina, in connection with the case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Jenny. Well done. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it. Good, isn't it? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. I mean, I feel like this is a very common trope, right? Of a criminal turning cop, right? I feel like this happens all the time in media, so I kind of love it. And then there's Iris' old man to think about. Iris' father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? Said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him. It's a small promise then, nothing serious. Oh, Jenny, you're so sweet. Man, we really gotta tell them that he's dead, you know? So anyway, that's how come I had to go to the test for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem, nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregson and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson and brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. A great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So, the long and short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Oh, what, Runa, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was a defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is still. Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called? Core, you don't half worry, Otto. If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. And we've only experienced that happen once with the Reaper, and that was with McGilded, right? We've had him for a handful of other cases now, 3 other cases, and nothing. Right? It's like I told you before, isn't it? Reaper's kind of like I'm upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. That ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be stretching a point. That is a good point, that it seems like only the people who are actually criminals get the end of the stick, you know? What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly, so I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. Great. Core, it was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine, and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Ginny? With your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Keeping everything running smooth, I mean. Boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's gonna take some getting used to. So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this! I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Ginny. That's gonna be important because she's probably gonna have some important perspective on the event that we couldn't see from below, right? Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You got no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. The machine exploded so spectacularly. How can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Very good point. Oh, right, well, it was a success. In a way, it was. How can it have been? Alright, let's see. Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could have called the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and all that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there. Oh, that's sick. Okay. What? In the tower? That makes sense. That's why all that's over there. You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold. Oh, were all the glasses broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got into to start with. Really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I have free bob off you before, so fair's fair. So I didn't actually give that to you, did I? This is sick. Let's take a look at that real quick. See if we can see the crossbow bit of it. This is intriguing. I wonder what this is going to be for. You know? That looks like a crank right there. Huh. Okay. Wonder how we're going to use this. Something Inspector Gregson said before seems a little strange. For what it's worth anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. Oh, this is going to be about the science thing again. Yes, naughty old Grexy ran off after that without explaining himself. Oh, right, that. Boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call him again? The forensic investigation team, I think? Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, isn't it? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. Thought I could have a gander on the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. I have a theory about this. If there is some sort of corruption within the government, a way to bypass the good people that are in the Scotland Yard would be to create a secondary task force, right? That could operate independently, potentially fabricate their own evidence, whatever else, and Scotland Yard can't really say anything about it because they didn't get to investigate the scene. It's kind of an interesting thought. Probably heard of me giving a earful about it from down here, did you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Motto? Go on, see if you can get through to him. It's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine that exploded is. Yeah, we were clearly supposed to talk to her first, but that's okay. We can try, can't we, Runa? Grexy will listen to us. Alright. So I think what we have to do actually is go back to Grexy. Because I feel like there might be a new chat option now. Why isn't it sending us up there? That's okay. But we gotta be getting very close to the end of the investigation period and getting into trial time. Yeah, yep. I feel like it probably applies here. Darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. That's a pretty interesting saying. I like that. But we were trying to get up here. There we go. Alright, let's see if anything else to talk to Gregson about now. No. Anything else to examine? I think I may have missed something down below to examine, actually, which is sort of disappointing, because now we gotta figure out how to get back down there again. Alright, yeah, let's get out of here. I wonder if we can present the drawing to Hairbrain and if that will do anything for us, you know? Yeah, I was wondering if it was this green thing. Oh look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth? Oh, it's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. The edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it has something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it with Ginny's Midian! Interesting. I wonder... I mean, that looks like it's part of a balloon, doesn't it? Now we got everything. Bruno, listen! What is it? I've been thinking... Early might know something, mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper! About what happened to Lord Van Zeeks, you mean? It sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Can we look at this again? Oh, Early. Yeah, because they do know each other. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tussbells? Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like. No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yes. How's it that you know where he is? Curly told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno. Madame Tussbells. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then stranger things have happened, and then when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. I think we're gonna end here today. Next time we will go to Madame Tussbells. We will hopefully finish the investigation and then go through a piece of the trial, hopefully through like the first cross-examination, but we'll see. But this is a good place to stop today. Mostly we just did a lot of investigating around the experimentation stage and a little bit more talking to Van Zieks, but still some good progress. Thank you so much for watching. Still, we're in this investigation phase, so things are pretty chill. Just gathering info and getting pieces of evidence that we're going to have to use later in the trial. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are amazing. Make sure you take care of yourselves, make sure you take care of others, and I will see you next time. Peace out.